welcome to week number 4 of the WordPress Tip of the Week series. And in this week, we're going to go over part 1 of what makes up a child theme. And what we're going to look at is the Style.css file, what you have to do and how to set it up so that you have a workable child theme. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over into File Manager and then Public HTML, WP Content, Themes, and now we already created our style, our storefront -child folder. And now we have the 3 basic files. So let's go ahead and let's edit the Style CSS and let's see what makes it up. Okay. To start with the Style.css, we have to have what's the header information, which is up here. So what we need to do is have this end here. These are comment tags, so basically all this is commented out. And then the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have the theme name. Now the theme name was Storefront, but since it's a child theme, we're calling it Storefront Child. Now the theme URI, this is the URL of the child theme. So since we're making it for this site, I'm having it as our current website. And for description, you can pretty much put whatever you want, but I put Storefront Child Theme, and then I'm the author, and then here's the author's website. We're going to use our current testing website for the URL. And then the template is Storefront. Now what that is that is telling the child CSS that the main CSS is called Storefront. And then for version, we have 1.0.0. Now this is very important because this helps to quote unquote bust the cache, because a lot of times with browsers, especially Google, they're very persistent in the cache, and sometimes you'll make a CSS update and it won't change for maybe up to 60 seconds or so. So there's a neat little trick that you can do with versioning to help those changes come in a lot faster. And then for license, we're under the GNU General Public License version 2. Or version 2 or later. And then the license URI, which can be found at gnu.org/licenses and so on. And then the text domain. Now this is the name of the child theme. So in this case, it would be Storefront Child. Now what we do is usually I put in something to test it with that'll make the site just look totally ridiculous. Like in this example, right now it's commented out. I have the background color to go blue, and I increased the font size to 32px, so it's going to look really bad and really crazy. But at least you know what'll happen is that it's seeing the child CSS or the style CSS for the child theme. Now, actually this is kind of a preface into next week, but in order to have the Style.css working for the child theme, we have to do one other thing, and that's what's known as enqueuing the Style.css file. And what you have to do is you have to go into functions.php, which we're going to be discussing a lot more next week, but let's go ahead and go to functions.php now. Because what you have to do is you have to put in this function. Okay, basically you can get this function off of the WordPress codex and then just make a few little minor changes. So let's go over it. Here's the opening PHP tag, and then the function is called myThemeEnqueueStyles. Okay, it's not taking any arguments, and then here's the opening curly brace and the closing one. And then in between here, we're declaring the parent style as the parent style. Now this is storefront-style for the storefront theme. So in other words, we're telling them to look for the parent style. And then what we're doing is we're enqueuing the parent style, and we're getting the template directory URI, so we're getting the URL of this style CSS for the parent. And then what we're doing is now we're enqueuing the child style, and then again we're getting the URL for where the child theme style CSS is located, and then we're putting that into an array, and then we're getting the theme and we're getting the version. And then down here we're adding an action, which is WP enqueue scripts. This is where this is taking place at this particular hook. And then this is the name of the function, my theme enqueue styles, which is exactly the same as up here. So basically that's all it's doing. It's calling the parent style CSS file and calling the child style CSS file and letting them know that both of them exist. So we'll go a little more into functions PHP and how you can put other functions in there in your child theme to protect against your parent update. But for now, that's really all we need. And then for style CSS, that's basically all we need too. So now what we're going to do is let's go over to our website. Okay, so we went ahead and we went to wclient.com and we logged in. So let's go over to appearance and themes. Okay, so right now our parent theme, which is storefront, this is the one that's active. And then what I did is I created the storefront child, and it's not active yet. And what's nice is my little screenshot.png file, this is what I made. You can basically make anything you want, so I figured I'd make something fancy and looking sharp. So let's go ahead and take a look at the site before we activate it and make sure that the style CSS for the child is working. So let's go ahead and we're going to activate the child theme, and we're going to go back over to the style.css and we're going to remove the uncommenting. Okay, so basically the body, for the background color we're going to make it blue, and then we're going to have the font size as 32 px or 32 pixels. So it's going to look kind of goofy. Okay, so we'll go ahead and change that. And now when we refresh, oh my gosh, as you can see, everything got really wonky, and then here's the blue background. So as you can see, anything that you do within the child style.css will work. So we're going to go ahead and remove this and then go ahead and save changes and then refresh, and now everything should be back to normal, which it is. Okay, cool. So we got one more thing to go over. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is something really interesting, and it helps to make your life a little bit easier as a developer. Now, what I did is I went into Google Chrome and I opened up the site. Now, Chrome is very notorious for having an extremely persistent cache. So in other words, if you're making like CSS changes such as color or font or things like that, when you refresh, it seems like it takes almost forever to refresh. Sometimes it could take 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds for it to refresh. And you know, when you're trying to get things done, you know, that's unacceptable. But thankfully there's a way around that. So, and that's what I'm going to show you. So if we look at our style.css file, for the version we have 1.0.0. Now this format 1.0.0 is a well-known format where the first number is for a major version change, the second number is usually used for a minor version change, and then the last number is usually used for a patch. A patch, for example, is if you're fixing like a bug or things like that. So this is what we can do. So let's go ahead and we're going to uncomment the body font size 32px. Okay, we're going to save it. And what we're going to do is, let's go into Google Chrome here. Alright, and then we're going to refresh it. Now, right away it should look kind of wonky. But, as you can see, it doesn't. If you refresh again, it still doesn't. So what you can do is this. Go back into Style.css. And remember, this is, first one is major, second one is minor, and the third one is patch. If you update the minor version, or you can update the major version, but usually you do the minor first. So say we make it version 1.1.0. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and save that. Now before I refresh, let me show you something really cool here. If you view the page source, this is what you're looking for right here. Okay, themes, storefront child, style.css version 1.0.0. So it's still looking at 1.0.0. That's why it wasn't refreshing. Okay, so now that we saved that, let me just make sure I saved it. Yeah. Okay, and now if we refresh, now it should look kind of wonky. And it does. So you see, if you view the page source, go back right over here, here's your version 1.1.0. So as you can see, that's an easy way to kind of kick Google Chrome along, or other browsers too. Safari and Internet Explorer and Firefox, sometimes they can all be a little difficult to deal with, but this is a good way to kind of get around it. So okay, so this wraps up this week's WordPress tip of the week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I invite you to like and subscribe this video. And please remember that at the end of each month we have a drawing for all subscribers to be entered in to win a free course. So be sure to subscribe, tell a friend, and hit that like button. And we're going to have videos all throughout 2018 on Saturdays. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye.